Good evening. Welcome. My name is Gretchen Wagner, and I am the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation Fellow for Prints, Drawings, and Photographs, and also the co-curator for the exhibition, The Shape of Abstraction, Selections from the Ollie Collection. And it's my great pleasure to welcome you here this evening for tonight's event, a collaborative performance with poet Quincy Troupe and musician Keyon Harrold. Together, they will explore abstraction in jazz, poetry, and visual art. In a moment, I will introduce Quincy Troupe and Keyon Harrold, but before I do, I want to acknowledge two very important individuals whose vision and generosity has provided the reason that we're all here this evening. And these are the collectors, Ronald Ollie and Monique McRipley Ollie. In 2017, the Ollies announced the donation of the Thelma and Bert Ollie Memorial Art Collection to the St. Louis Art Museum. The collection is named in honor of Mr. Ollie's parents and features 81 paintings, drawings, and prints by 5 generations of Black artists who have revolutionized abstraction since the 1940s. The exhibition, The Shape of Abstraction, which is now on view and will remain on view until March 22nd, highlights works from this gift. And also tonight, you'll be able to enjoy a number of these works projected here on the screen. So while building this collection, Mr. Ollie recognized the synergy that exists between visual art and language. And because of this, he invited Quincy Troupe to write a poem about the collection. The resulting poem is The Shape of Abstraction, which inspired the title of the exhibition and also the performance here this evening. And tonight's performance is just one in a wide array of programming related to the exhibition that will be occurring in the coming weeks and months. And hopefully you received a poster on your way in, which provides a listing of these programs. And the museum's website has more information. Be sure to return on Sunday, October 27th for the Harlem Quartet, whose mission is to advance diversity in classical music, and they will be performing 4 string quartets. So all programs, as well as the exhibition, are supported by a grant from the Trio Foundation of St. Louis, and we are very grateful to the foundation for their support. So that brings us to tonight. We have a very, very special treat. Quincy Troupe and Keyon Harrold will explore abstraction in poetry and music. Both of these esteemed artists, like Mr. Ronald Ollie, spent their childhoods here in St. Louis, absorbing the city's world-class art and music. This exposure fostered in each a passion for the arts, which has led to celebrated careers. And thank goodness for that, because tonight we have the pleasure to welcome them home, and we can enjoy this very special collaboration on stage. Quincy Troupe is an award-winning poet and author of 21 books and 11 volumes of poetry. His writings, which demonstrate an impressive energy and flow, are celebrated for their examination of the diverse cultural histories of the United States. Early in his career, Quincy moved to Los Angeles, and there he became a regular presence at the Watts Writers Workshop and really began to work in a style inspired by jazz. And since that time, he has gone on to be a major presence in the international poetry scene, teaching and performing around the world. Tonight, Quincy will read a selection of his poetry, which has received much critical acclaim. His books of poems have earned the Patterson Award for Sustained Literary Achievement and the Milt Kessler Poetry Award. In addition, he has earned 3 American Book Awards. One of those was for Miles, the Autobiography. And this is a book he co-authored with the musical legend Miles Davis, with whom Quincy spent countless hours capturing the essence of that musician's life story. And so I want to mention that after the performance, we'll have the very special opportunity of a book signing with Quincy. So please make sure to join him at the museum bookshop just outside the auditorium after this event. And so also tonight, Quincy is joined by Keyon Harrold, a jazz trumpeter, vocalist, songwriter, and producer. Keon grew up among a family of musicians here nearby in Ferguson, Missouri, and like Quincy, shares a connection to Miles Davis. Keon recalls listening to Davis's music with his mother at a very young age, and Davis's sound alongside that with Prince, Common, Dr. Dre, among other artists, certainly a very eclectic mix, inspired him to study jazz at the New School in New York City during the early 2000s. Since his school days, he has been featured in over 100 albums, ranging from jazz, R&B, hip-hop, gospel, and blues. He has toured internationally and recorded with some of the world's most recognized and esteemed artists, including Jay-Z, Beyonce, Robert Glasper, Erykah Badu, and the list goes on. He supplied all of the trumpet playing for the 2015 movie Miles Ahead. That's the acclaimed biography of Miles Davis starring Don Cheadle. And the soundtrack for this film won him a Grammy Award, and that's one of 3 that he's earned. So the success of his performances have prompted none other than Wynton Marsalis to declare Keon the future of the trumpet. So without further ado, I give you The Shape of Abstraction.
In a place beyond our knowing, silence reigns, darkness. Perhaps some light echoes in this vast space. Perhaps it is a never world, an ether world of maybe. If spirits among us know what it is they have never spoken. Perhaps shadows have over underground in some invisible space surrounded by air, water, where spirits of creation exist, swimming or zooming around outside our comprehension. A place where only imagination through prayer can maybe take us to a road, perhaps, a passageway, a doorway leading to nowhere, or what? Nobody knows, only silence knows. The language echoes speak in this vast place beyond knowing. Are there bones, teeth, hair, rib cages, skulls, toes, fingers here? Are maggots here too? Do they speak some kind of music in this beyond world? Do they understand silence, the twilight world of myth, the memory of earth, water, sky, wind, the memory of fire, earthquakes, thunder, the memory of storms, lightning, ice, the memory of creation, birth, death, the memory of everything here and gone, everywhere a mystery is what we know is certain. An idea of something without shape or form, pulsating with what we know is power. And it is a metaphysical presence, yes. A blessing with what we know is the ability to heal and destroy this space we live in only by its invitation, sanctioned only by its blessing, not ours. This place we've been born into with so much amnesia. I throw my rope tongue into the sky, yes. Send words of love lassoing to you, cross blue valleys of distance. Fight off Midwestern tornadoes, desert fried fools who want to interpret this message for you, only for you. Rain-swept cooing lady, wooing tongue of cool rain. My voice here, a wing of soothing feathers. Riffing and riding, the hot wires. My voice comes tickling your eardrum, my sweet tongue looping melodies of fire. Rope tongue looping melodies across skies, looping melodies of fire. Comes tickling sweetly, baby, your eardrums. Only for you comes tickling your eardrums. Only for you. Where does life force of breath go? after flesh falls away from bone? Does it rest in the womb of memory, raise up its spirits inside ghost voices, recognized once as bodies carrying names of Michael, Tamir, Trayvon Martin? So many other young black boys and girls with bright eyes looking to a future of dreams before being cut down by hot spitting lead fired in their spirits, carrying their names in Ferguson, Missouri, Cleveland, Ohio, Chicago, Florida. Where do their spirits go after breath leaves them suddenly beyond hearing love from their mothers and fathers' voices? Brothers and sisters too, quaking, grief, close friends. Do they hear music now there? A trumpet lick, sweet as a sad kiss, wailing over piano keys, tickling lyrical disbelief. Rain falling on days when melodic drum beats echo, footstep soft as memory. When a trumpet voice hauntingly pierces flight of morning's gloomy light, bird wings slicing through sadness of the day, bass strings echoing beneath dark, aching words of a poet's voice. Names of so many, robbed of futures by spitting bullets, stamped with their names: Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice. And I say, where will all this death take us beyond tears, beyond music, poetry, moaning words of a St. Louis woman? How long will memory remember this fear? These lost names stamped on faces of paper posters, nailed to trees, walls in soiled rooms splattered with blood inside mourning houses, for years carrying memories of young black faces with sweet smiles. Eyes bright as sun staring into a future once possible with dreams, lost in an instant after death was fired from demons walking still amongst us now. How long will we keep these spirits warm with love inside our hearts beating before amnesia? Modern embrace obliterates time, entombing so many celebrated then as martyrs now. I say yes, black lives do matter, have always mattered, here and now, each and every day, every second, minute, every hour. Yes, black lives do matter, but alive will always matter. Alive will always matter. Alive, alive, alive. And someday is today. And we stand here within these bones, within our spiritual selves breathing, within flesh of these years, melting like ice cubes in drinks. Within stone, these thoughts, these miracles of roots found inside our folklore. These links stretching 400 years back to villages eaten black by Halloween flames, eating up the dark rhythms, yes, eating up the dark rhythms. And here, weaving shadows dance through leaves, stretch to here across Atlantic salt water, the boogerman high in trees here in St. Louis. Listen to the drummers shaping hand here, and time breaks wind and bone down to nothing. Stone also juxtaposed next to feathers of Indians and black folks. And there aren't too many secrets these days that are not known. We speak through our eyes, speak and see through our ears and tongues, and hear through our tongues. And so we stand here within tone of these bones, inside these years, ringing like bells, a Coltrane solo, echo breaking love into our ears, a solo, hearts, and now I reach out the smile of my tongue, blue-black with rhythms. Stone, reach out my tongue, a jazz blues riff, rhythm, dues, payments, reach it out to you, brothers and sisters, a love gone chiming from my eyes, hand over to you, my oldest son, Brandon. This baptized, this signature, born in blood and fire, and baptized deep in Mississippi River bottoms, hand over to you. This sun-toned hardness, this guitar full of lives, full of lives. So take the vision, Brandon, son, and run up sun with it. Always look back into your own eyes, for you are the memory carrying the future. You are the memory carrying the future. The shape of abstraction is what the mind believes it sees. Figures, colors emerging from a canvas or block of steel, limestone, wood chipped and cut, chiseled, shaped into a memory, sanded down, refined into grace, polished to a high sheen, almost a mirror, reflects a creative imagination where the artist leaves their heart inside a language. Born from power of a hammer's head, artistry vows from there. Fertile dreams of makers are transferred in boogie-woogie, boogie-whoopie riffs from bebop deep in Delta blues. Live inside a clean womb, hard surfaces birthing faces, where voices scat rap over hot jazz licks in Harlem. Zing original forms, create words like razzmatazz, sling them, sluicing colors into living language. Whatever raises to life and sings, shocks or disgraces the senses. As long as we are here in the world, if it doesn't burn or explode into wars created by man-made nuclear infernos, when horror, conflict is chosen over beauty, a brushstroke can evoke memory as love, heard sometime in whispers. It's what a painter's brushstrokes bring to life from empty, blank white wounds of canvases. They could be red, brown, black, tan, yellow, or red canvases until unknown pulse beats birth embryos from there, raise them into breathing forms from deep inside. Creative impulses splash with colors, tones, as when we look up at cloud formations and see in the sky wonders, images created up there are their own music. Rhythm, as when the sea rolls in, clapping waves, foaming, roaring, then snarling to what I imagine mad animals might hear when suffering with rabies. On the other hand, I imagine eyeballs bulging to see what a ship way out on the infinite razor sharp blade edge, slicing the sea in half, might mean from our view here on shore. On a gray day full of silhouettes, contours of waving figures, outlines of fluctuating images, farms dissipating inside exhaust gases, belching from a smokestack's vessels, burner trailing shapes behind it as it sails eastward toward some unknown port it will reach. In the dark, dead moment, right before midnight, a star shining bright, high above in the night, is a white echo of light showing the way, or is a one-eyed cyclops blinking down from history. They are paintings, after all, disintegrating on that blue, gray canvas of sky that is a Rorschach test of faith, of what one thinks the eye recognizes as art, transfers back to probe the brain in an instant of volatility, which is the push and pull of capricious decision-making, filled with impulsive hints of what or what not to choose when eyeing creative choices offered up as barter in exchange for banknotes, trade, switch or swap, swap or switch, switch or swap, is a form of negotiation. It's a haggling bargain point, which is an art form of sorts too, though not the same creative level of expression true art springs from. Because art is shrouded inside mystery and magic, is a force that can enrich, sustain life, nourishing beauty, joy, mirroring truth, questioning what we know of ourselves or don't know, asking us questions. Why are we here? And where will all these shapes take us? To colors, splashed with beauty or shock, where music evokes lines, tap dancing through forms, breaks into rhythms, takes us to a place where imagination wonders, fills up space with magical, mysterious wonder, fills up space with magical, mysterious wonder. I am hearing bells in blues music, poetry, bells inside voices ringing, rinsed in colors, shapes, laughter, and form. Bells washing wave after rave, after sonorous waves of bells washed through wind chimes, swept through morning's first breaking light. Bells shivering in damp, cool speech. Hip language seduces and imitates. Bells coursing through syllables, spilling from lips. Bells tickling through raindrops, pooling on rooftops, spreading like rosebuds, airborne on wind tongues, drooling down storm drains, riding water through whirlpools, drop by dropping drop. I am hearing bells spooling electric through hearts and sacred Himalayan mountains of Tibetan Buddhists. Bells swirling through pooling deep eyes of lovers, trilling inside bright voices raised by small children. Bells sluicing through winds that play games with our minds, with the way we hear time slipping through our ears and fingers. And there are bells heard in kisses when sucking lips meet, yes, vibrating electric bells, breeze-blown silver bells that tongue through fragrant afternoons of springtime. Bells like trumpets whispering, dewdrops shimmering down bright green leaves that float and land and float like rafts skimming surfaces of glass rivers. Bells that dive through sparkling waterfalls like voices or solos of trumpets rinsed with clear welling sound that tickle our senses like crystal runs of Bill Evans playing with Miles, laying down clues. Bells sluicing through, in flight, the way a thief steals through the night's deep music, like a sleuth, the way blues tiptoe over piano keys, dropping bell notes here and there. Cards shimmy-shangling through the thick night air. Bells rinsed in shimmering electric beauty. I am hearing bells that render us spellbound, as when the heart seduces sound by locking up pure rhythm that is light. Conjuring bells that speak in dazzling voices. Church bells that ring inside seductive sweet strides of dancing women, as when bells roll through their hips, swaying lyrical, incredible magic. And I heard bells in heat of summer language making sweet flowers rise. Heard bells in the voice of Pavarotti's Norsen Domer. Heard bells clanging and rolling through the square fronting Westminster Abbey. Heard bells in the sound of African dew mornings rising, trumpets blaring. Heard bells in the silver ice of Hale Bop's streaking comet tail. Heard bells ringing throughout plazas of freedom everywhere. Heard bells inside all beauty, heard and seen anywhere. Bells, bells, splendid sweet bells, trumpet bells. Heard bells in the seduction of great poetry singing. Heard bells rising through humorous, luminous language of sweet burls. Riffing. Bells, bells, splendid, sweet bells, swelling inside the air's sweet music, and that trumpet riffing. Within an avalanche of glory, hallelujah, sky breaks. Spraying syllables on the run, spreading sheets, waving holy sounds. Solos sluicing African bound, transformed here in America from voodoo into hoodoo. Inside tonguing blues, snaking horns, where juju grounds down, sacred, up in cards. Up in the gritty foo-foo, magical, where fleet rounds of cadences whirlpool as in rivers, where memory spins down, foaming into dances like storms swallowed here in a burst of suns. Up in the yeasting blue voodoo, holding the secret clues mum inside the mystery unfolding. Up in the caking dish rag of daybreak, miracles, shaking out earthquakes of light, like mojo hands luminous with spangling. And all the vamping blood songs of call and response, the vamping blood songs, call and response. As in the pulpit, when a preacher becomes his words, his rhythms those of a sacred bluesman dead outside his door. His gospel intersecting with antiphonal guitars, a congregation of amens, as in the slurred riffs, blues strings run back, echoing themselves, answering the call. The voice cracked open like an egg, the yoke running out, the lungs imitating collapsed drums. Yes, and he is the rainbow and confluence of sacred tongues, the griot, the devotion of rivers, all up in his hands, all up in his fingers. His call, both invocation and quaking sermon, running true and holy, as drumming cadences brewed in black church choirs, glory, hallelujah vows, spreading from their mouths like Wolfman's mojo. All up in Mahalia Jackson's lungs, howling vows rolled off voodoo consonants, brewing, and magic all up in the preacher's run. Of muddy water, strong all up in the farm, drenched with Coltrane, Miles, ripping all up in Miles, Lightning Hopkins, Mojo songs, blues yeasting lungs of birds. When music is raised up as prayer and lives healing as June sun, quilting in the black baby's tongues and sewn deep in their lungs as power and blueprinted here now in breath of rappers. Each of us here, for a moment in time, dances in the air with the smell of love. Beautiful people, those who are ghastly too, occupying the same place. Earth spins through light towards darkness. Always time moves leaves on trees. Stevie Wonder's voice, Keon Harrell's trumpet voice, licks, echoes of Miles, Clifford Brown, choices where footprints, steps, ricocheting history over cobblestone streets, carrying voices in Krakow, Poland, St. Louis, Missouri's riverfront, swelling through billowing gray fog, November afternoons and nights. Yet mystery is here too, real as time, as each of us moves through it, through space, with superstition, wonder, holding fast to life. And we can be seen as birds without wings, soaring still with music, as poetry sometimes does, when carving ballerinas' bodies into shapes, and they dance in gaps, while others flying through space jackknife, double pump into the galaxy. Their torsos break dancing like basketball players up in the air, before others tomahawk dunks to rise cheers. And we are here, erupting through moments, brief moments, on this planet of rock and water, spinning indecipherable, the road ahead full, packed tight with illusions. And they surprise us sometimes, jumping out from hidden secret places. And love can still reveal itself as a paradox here in each of us. A flower growing in a war-ravaged space. See it where hatred abounds. Despite tenderness, love evolves in a ravaged place, despite tenderness. Think of frogs boiling in brown water when watching people sweat in hot spaces, while walking through blowtorch streets in concrete cities all over the globe. Because head in the sand climate denial exists. You might wonder what it is all about, burning to death while sleeping, or swimming in lakes or oceans where there are no fish, or making love with windows thrown open and hear no birds singing when climaxes come, causing men and women to scream with joy or sorrow, or caught singing somewhere outside in a meadow, trembling, removed from sizzling asphalt and bricks, people dozing here in quiet, saccharine moods, trees fluttering green heads above, kissing sweet wind tongues, licking honey-eyed flesh, lathering soaked cheeks, scorched cheeks. This can be rare, because many only think of stashing blood money away, because life is beating hearts, not gizzards. It means loving trees, flowers, trapped flowers, animals trapped in forest fires, tribal people, birds saving fish, baking in deep, hot, lake-polluted cauldrons, filled with skulls, teeth, bones, fingers, arms, and legs littered over these unreal lunar moonscapes. Graveyard sea bottoms holding unforgiving memories in pits of our human depravity. Reveal signals, no remorse here in empty holes of eye sockets, looking up into space through clouds of dust after volcanic eruptions shook worlds. When skies clouded over with cinders of ash, falling stones splashing into lakes, race toward boats fleeing, whirlpooling waves full of screaming survivors. All of this carries unanswered questions. Is this the reckoning we all must face now when thinking of how our bones will reveal themselves in the future inside texts of history, books where metaphors are created from bullet holes, armies marching to war because of religious faith? When the choices are whether to write sentences evoking poetry filled with music, love, dreaded voices of sacred spirits, voodoo priests, musicians creating holy rhythms we dance to. What are the questions we must raise now? Are they washed in genius colors from brushstrokes of painters? Portraits of what our bones will reveal in the future? Think of them now, those bone-chilling questions. When you look out across the world, bend your vision and look around mountains curving through space with your lenses wide open, holding no malice. Then pray for clarity. Dream. Hope you see beauty there. After all is said and done, the future might spring from some woman's face, you know? Luminous with spiritual beauty and carrying a deep, elegant elan beyond what can be captured in any photograph. Poetry is like that too, elusive as the future, when all you see is perhaps a trembling outline, something you have been yearning for all your life, suggesting a shape, a direction you have been searching for, a presence pulsating with what you hope is luminous, with a pure beauty your heart can embrace. Now, inside a clear moment of elucidation, you might hear it in a trumpet, in some music swelling within a voice, filled with a magical spiritual beckoning. Perhaps it just passed you just now when you were distracted, inside a moment of confusion. And now it's gone forever. Inside a fog of dissolving mist, where time exists in a state of forming questions. Inside a dimension giving shape to flurries. Knowing winks blinking within intervals of expectations. Moments on the verge of arrival. Music, a kiss perhaps. Something beautiful you have been yearning for all your ascending life. Love, hand me flower petals of your laughter, shimmering as a school of silverfish, swimming fast just beneath the clear surface in an ice-cold lake, somewhere deep in mystery. During the thaw of springtime, early morning rinse, where no waves moved across the surface, but the silent air hung inside a misting veil, full of fragile dewdrops. And just before the sun rises, splendid over the rims of mountaintops, fencing in the lake, trees sprouting in the east. Love, hand me flower petals of your laughter, your face there, wondrous as a sunrise, in the image of a photo just above your name. At the end of every sentence, a period occupying space as molecular energy, a point to make another point. In space, the end is the beginning of another end, recurring cycles there, occupying space. And death being only a period at the end of a sentence. Earth, a point that starts another point. And at the end, there is space to begin again. Always space at the end to begin again. Always space at the end to begin again.
Thank you. Thank you very much to Quincy Troop and Keon Harold. Thank you so much.